So for all of you who are watching remotely, welcome. This is class 1 of mindful meditation class, which we start a week late, and I think it's helping because some people, including me, couldn't be here last week. So we have a good group here. We've got 6 people here. More might be coming yet. So I'm planning on this to be once a week for 6 weeks. Then I've added 2 more classes this year that I didn't previously have. Weeks 7 and 8 are about coping with physical pain and emotional pain. We'll take a week off for Thanksgiving, and then we'll put those other 2 weeks in after Thanksgiving. I think that should work. I'll let you introduce yourselves in a moment. I'm going to tell you how I came to be here. Sorry about the mask, but I hope you can hear me okay. Mm-hmm. I became interested in meditation back in college about 50 years ago. Read some books, and I probably meditated 20 minutes a couple times a week for quite a few years. Then about 8 years ago, I had an opportunity to take a class like this that was offered through my clinic, Affinity Medical Group in Appleton. Had a 6-week class using the same book, Real Happiness. And it really motivated me to become a regular meditator every day. And then a couple years later, I was starting to think about retirement. And I said, I think I'd like to teach meditation. I was a doctor. That's another way of helping people to be healthy. So I looked into what I needed to do. Well, I needed to have a regular daily practice, so I did that. We call it a practice. I read more. I attended some retreats. I attended the mindfulness-based stress reduction class in Madison, offered at the UW, which was once a week for 8 weeks. At one of these retreats, I had an interview with one of the teachers, and I was telling him that I'd like to teach meditation in my community, but I didn't think I was quite ready. He said, I think you're ready. Well, I did a little bit more training before I decided to do it, but Stephen is a friend of mine now, and I teach with him and several other people at 3 prisons in the area. Kettle Moraine, Wisconsin Resource Center in Oshkosh, and Fox Lake Prison. So this is the 4th year teaching this class, which has been very rewarding. I keep learning, and I really appreciate having you all here, because this is a bit of a commitment. If you really want to do this, if it's really going to make a difference in your life, which it can, it takes a bit of a commitment. Coming here for the 6 or 8 classes, reading the book, and it really will work if almost every day you take a little bit of time to do the meditations. 10 minutes once a day is a good place to start. Sharon in the book suggests starting with 20 minutes 2 or 3 times a week, but that's good too. But I think if you establish a time every day, you say, whether it's in the morning, noon, or night, depends on your own schedule. Morning is the best thing for me, first thing up in the morning. Set a time, 10 minutes, I'm going to sit and meditate. even if it feels awkward, you think nothing's happening, if you just do it, it will show some results. That's how I came to be here. I'd like to hear how each of you came to be here. Why, if you wouldn't mind telling me your name and just sharing, how did you happen to come? You want to start, Joanne?
Sure. I'm Joanne Schneider, and I've been trying to do meditation on my own for years, and I'm just not getting anywhere. So when I heard you had the class, I decided to sign up. And my daughter also suggested it because she took your class.
Elizabeth Olson, and I've also been making an effort to meditate for quite a few years, but haven't ever taken like a class in it or paid much attention on my posture or anything else. So I think this will be a really good learning experience.
I'm Bryn Weber, and I'm here with my mom. I don't know. I just came over there.
That's good enough.
I'm Diane Hickman, and I never did meditation when I need it. Because I'm nervous. I'm very stressful. So that's why I'm here.
Sylvain, I need to learn how to relax my body. My body tenses up and I have very many illnesses or aches and pains from it. I have bad neck problems, bad shoulder problems, knee problems, you name it. I cannot relax my body.
Yeah, me
So
neither.
that's what I'm here for, to
Yeah.
try to learn how to relax my body.
I'm Rose Falls, and actually I took Mike's class the first time he had it. And did it at Keebler's office because I do suffer from anxiety, and that helped me a lot. And with COVID, I don't think you did classes, did you, Train?
It certainly changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to come back because for me, I was good that year that I did that with you, and then it's like, oh, you know how life gets. So I'm glad to be back in the class. I really am.
This class is meant to be an introduction, but like for Rose, I've had some people take it 2 or 3 times. It's good as a refresher, and it's good to be in a group that helps kind of motivate you, right? So I feel that way. I'm reading the book for the 10th time probably, and I always learn something. So it's really, it's something you gradually learn. Thank you. A few weeks back, a friend was asking me what I was doing in retirement. I said, well, I teach meditation. And he said, oh, well, what are the benefits of meditation? And I had an answer for him, but I thought I really ought to think a little bit more about this. And you can read about the benefits, but it's a lot more about your experience, okay? Now, first off, this kind of meditation that we're going to be practicing here, there are a number of different kinds of meditation you can do. This is called mindfulness meditation. So this kind of meditation trains our mind to be mindful, which means noticing what's happening in the moment, in our mind, in our body, and in the environment, with a sort of a kind, curious attitude, just kind of noticing. So when we sit and meditate, we're training our mind to do that. As a result, I've experienced, and a lot of the students that I've worked with have experienced, number one, peace. It's very calming. And Lord knows we all need more of that. one thing that the guys in prison talk about a lot is it makes us more able to respond to our things happening to us wisely, rather than just react automatically. We learn to kind of take a quick mental time out and stand back from what's happening, because so much of what we do is driven by our habits, by tendencies we have, you know? So somebody says something, we react, we yell or something. And this enables us to kind of just quickly step back from that and maybe not do anything, or do something that is better, more healthy for ourselves and others. I'm certainly finding more all the time that the practice of meditation increases our compassion for ourselves and for others. In the meditation, which we'll do tonight, the main meditation is focusing on the feeling of each in and out breath. And when our mind wanders, which it always does, the thoughts or feelings, we bring it back to the breath. We really have to be compassionate, because if we are too hard on ourselves, we're never going to keep doing it, because it happens over and over again. So we learn to be kind to ourselves, not beat ourselves up for all our bad habits. They're just stuff that happens, and we learn to accept that. And then through that, we also learn to be compassionate toward other people. One of my favorite mindfulness words is equanimity, which I think of as an appreciation of life's ups and downs. Just kind of going with the flow, okay? It doesn't mean we don't get happy or sad, but we can handle the ups and downs better. And one of my other favorite things is intuition. When we are able to see, to notice what we're thinking and doing, and we can kind of quiet that mental activity a little bit, there's a wisdom that's in all of us that can come to the surface. You know the expression, if you have a problem you can't figure out, sleep on it, and then in the morning, it's figured out. Your mind has an ability to do that, and meditation helps us to do that while we're conscious and awake. So those are some of the advantages. And in the book, Sharon, in those first opening chapters, that's a lot about what she's talking about, is why meditate, what it's about. There are also lots of scientific studies over the past 30 years or so are really showing now proof for these positive effects. They've shown a lowered reactivity to stress, improved attention, better focus, less mind wandering, better working memory, even lowered inflammation and improved immune system, because our immune system is linked with our nervous system. So as we calm our nervous system down, our immune system has less stress on it and can function better. They've shown that. Increased empathy. Neuroscientists have done a lot to learn about the brain over the last several decades. When I went to medical school, we were taught that basically the brain doesn't change after you're like 12 years old. It only gets worse. But they found now that our brain continually changes, and that we can direct the change in positive ways. There's a guy named forget his name, has what he calls the hand model of the brain, which is very easy, and I think kind of gives us that idea of what they've learned about how our brain works and how meditation helps it. So if we think of a hand as representing our brain, the wrist is our spinal cord, sending information from the body to the brain. It has a lot to do with regulating basic bodily functions. The palm represents the brain stem, which is a very primitive part of the brain, sometimes called the reptilian brain. And this is the part that reacts to things. So if there's something painful, it tells us to retreat from it. If there's something pleasant, it tells us to go toward it. The thumb represents the limbic system. And you might read a lot about the amygdala, parts of that deep brain, and this has a lot to do with regulating emotions. Emotions drive us to do things. Very important part of the brain here, still relatively primitive. And the fingers represent the cortex, the outside part of the brain where we do our thinking, and it helps regulate all the other parts of the brain. So they've shown that with meditation, the connections between the different parts are improved, and actually the prefrontal cortex increases in area. So we can change our brains by doing this regularly. They call it neuroplasticity. And there's a lot of debate about how much meditating you have to do to really show the changes, but the more you do, the more changes you'll see. And Daniel Goleman, I think he's the one who formulated this, he said, sometimes we flip our lid, and that means we lose the connection of our cortex controlling our emotions, and that's when we do stupid things that are just reactions. And so in meditation, we're learning, keep that control. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not spontaneous. It doesn't mean we lose creativity. In fact, it improves our creativity. So when I was thinking about this class this fall, and I was doing more reading about physical pain and emotional pain and how meditation can help that, I decided to kind of make the focus of the class a little bit more about stress. What are our stresses and how can meditation help that? So I'm going to ask you to do a little survey. I'm going to give you each a card, and there's pens over there if you need one. And I'm going to ask you to write down a little bit about what stresses you have in your life. I'm going to have you return them to me. I'm going to keep what you say confidential. At some point, I'm going to return these to you, and I'll tell you exactly what I want you to write in a minute. So I want you to start off by putting your name on the top of the card, please. And then I want you to divide it into 3 columns. So in the first column, I want to think about this for a moment before you write. I want you to try to tell me, what is your primary stressor in your life right now? What causes you the most stress? I'll give you some examples. Some of the things that I think we might focus on would be physical pain, as I mentioned. So a lot of people have chronic pain, headaches, neck pain, backaches, arthritis, other chronic medical conditions. That might be one. Emotional pain is, very common. Anxiety, depression, grief, loneliness. And then I think of what I call everyday stressors, which are emotional too, but things like overwork, boredom, difficult relationships, burnout. So think for a minute about what is your primary stressor. And if there's more than one, that's okay. Put that in the first column. What causes you the most stress in your life right now?
Are these gonna have headers or anything? No.
Pardon?
Are we gonna have headers on these, like on the columns or anything? No.
You can, yeah. So the first column is primary stressor. The second column, the header would be how you typically react to this stress. So this might be, what do you feel? Or it might be, what do you do when you have this stress? Do you have some coping strategies? Are they healthy or not? So when you notice this stress, what do you do? How do you react to it? That's in the second column. In the third column, how do you feel about this reaction? Do you feel like it's working, not working? Do you feel good, bad? How do you feel about how you're reacting to the stress in your life right now? So I think this will help us to kind of guide the class in certain directions. Like I say, I'm going to keep this confidential, but it'll be some useful information as I plan out the weeks ahead.
What was the third column for? I'm sorry.
How you feel about the way you're reacting
Oh, okay.
to stress. And as I said, if you have time and motivation, you can write more than one, but just one primary stressor is good. Tonight, we're going to go through the core meditation that we will do every week when we're here. This meditation is very simple, but not very easy. It takes getting used to. But if you just do it every day, or almost every day, you'll begin to notice the effects. I'm just going to talk about this meditation technique for a few minutes, and then I'll guide us through the meditation. The first step is posture. It is very helpful to be able to be sitting in kind of what we call a dignified posture with our back straight, not slumped back against the chair. You can, although you can do it lying down or standing up, any position. But the primary posture is sitting with our back straight, our feet firmly planted on the floor, our hands resting. We can use cushions or benches, which help even more. I think I'll wait for that for next time. The idea is we want to be relaxed but alert. Also, since we're going to be focusing on the feeling of each in and out breath, sitting up straight really enhances that sensation. And as we do this, when you get in your meditation posture and your meditation place each day, it kind of sets you in the mood, like, oh, I'm in my meditation posture, I know what to do, right? So getting used to it and having that position is very helpful. But like I said, if you're the one teacher I've been studying a lot, Vidyamala Birch, who writes a lot about chronic pain, is paralyzed, and she does a lot of her meditations lying down. Only problem with lying down is we often tend to fall asleep. But lying down is good, especially if you want to fall asleep. So it's very good for that. So the first step is posture. The second step is just feeling your body where it is. We'll learn that getting in touch with our body sensations is one of the key elements of being mindful, of noticing what's going on. And so we feel our feet on the floor. We feel our sits bone on the chair. We feel our hands resting. And we kind of briefly scan the body for signs of tension. Very often this will be in the shoulders and neck, and we just relax them. We can close our eyes or keep them open, just gently gazing down forward. So posture, feeling the body. And then the practice is noticing each breath. Noticing when your body breathes in and out. And then there's a pause, and noticing the next in-breath and out-breath. Not trying to change the breath, the body will breathe on its own. Just notice, where do you feel the breath? Maybe in your nostrils as the air comes in and out. Or maybe the rise and fall of your chest. Or maybe the rise and fall of your belly. And we'll just notice that. Notice that. Each in and out breath. And pretty soon we'll notice, oh, I'm not following the breath. I'm thinking about what I'm gonna have for supper when I get home. Or I'm thinking, oh, my back hurts. That's all part of it. That's all normal. We begin to notice what we're thinking. And when we do that, we just say, oh, and we come back to the breath again and again. That's the practice. So if you would, I'm going to guide us through about a 5 to 10 minute meditation like that. Any questions about it?
What happens if your feet don't touch the floor?
Good question. You can take a cushion.
Learn to relax.
Thank you.
Will that do it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Or if it's too flat, sometimes having an extra one helps.
There you go.
It's good to have a timer. So set a goal for your meditation. If you're going to start off with doing 5 minutes, set a timer for 5 minutes. 5 minutes may seem really short or really long. It's hard to say, but just trust that the timer will work and that when the timer rings, then you've done it. I'm suggesting 10 minutes is a really good goal. 10 minutes. So if that means you have to get up 10 minutes early each morning, it's worth it. Or whatever time of the day works for you. So let's try this. So come into your meditation posture. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the weight of your body on the chair. Not trying to change anything or do anything. All we're doing is noticing the sensation. Feel the hands resting. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in and out. And with each out breath, just let your body rest. Let it relax down into the chair. Let your shoulders drop. Close your eyes or just gently gaze down forward. Bring your attention now to the feeling of the in-breath and the out-breath. One breath at a time. See where you notice it the most. Is it in your nostrils, chest, or belly? And maybe say to yourself quietly, in, out, just to kind of support that concentration on the breath. When your body feels like moving, notice that. Oh, my body feels like moving. And see if you can just watch that sensation and just rest. Usually it will go away and then come back to the breath. Your mind wanders to some sounds, let's say, out in the room. And you may notice that, oh, hearing. Don't judge it. That's okay. That's normal. And then kind of try to let that go and come back to concentrating on each in and out breath, one at a time. You may notice the emotional reaction to what you're doing. This is boring. How can I keep doing this for even 5 minutes? And you just say, oh, boring. And you just notice that, let it go, and come back to the breath. The breath is our anchor. We keep coming back to the feeling of each breath. When our mind wanders, we realize it's wandered and we just say, oh, not breath. And we come back to the breath. You may begin to notice how the body realizes it's time to take another breath. You don't have to control it, although you can. We're not trying to change the breathing right now, we're just feeling it. If you feel sleepy, you might need to open your eyes or straighten your spine a little bit. And just notice that. Oh, sleepy. Many times as our mind wanders, we just notice it and come back to the breath. Remember, we're being kind to ourselves. We even might want to chuckle a little bit or smile when we notice our attention has wandered. Oh, there it goes again. Let it go and come back to the breath. And as we come to the close of our little meditation session, we can relax. Notice how we feel. How does our body feel right now? How does our mind feel? Notice what's happening in the room. Thanks for your practice. In each class, I'll be leading some guided meditation, this kind and a few others. And we'll always have some time for discussion. We're talking about how our practice is going, about what we're experiencing, asking questions, learning from each other. How did you feel about this?
It's gonna take time to learn how to relax.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Learning to relax. You will
I
learn.
kept thinking, oh, what is it, 5 minutes up?
Yeah, that's common. But you did it.
Yeah.
Nobody ran out. Welcome, Max. Max had to work late. Thanks for letting us know. You're going to try to be in the Tuesday class at 6:30,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah,
And this is being recorded, so you can watch the whole thing later.
yeah. Awesome.
It must have been good because I didn't hear him come in.
Then it was working for you. I heard him come in. I heard the air come in when you opened the door and everything.
I didn't hear anything.
That's okay.
That means you're off to a good start.
Hope so.
You've taken a big step just being here tonight. It's going to pay off. So keep coming. Try to do the practice at home. It might be, it's not a bad idea to keep a little journal each day about when you meditated, how long, what your experience was, or at least once in a while, write something down so when you come next week, you can report. All right? So the opening chapters in the book, pages 1 to 34, are about why meditate and what are the benefits of meditation. So if you haven't read those, try to read those. And before our class next week at this time and place, try to read the chapter. It's called Week 1, which is pages 35 to 76. And that talks about this breathing meditation. So if you have questions about how it works, Sharon is a great teacher. She's so down to earth. So that's your assignment. Read up to page 76 by next week. Try to meditate 10 minutes a day. Maybe keep a record of how it's going. And number 3, I'll see you back here next week. I always end. I get emotional about this by saying thanks for your practice, because what every little bit you do is not just helping yourself, it's helping all those around you. It makes a difference. People, before you even notice a change in yourself, somebody else might say, hey, you seem a lot calmer. Other people will notice, and that affects them too. So, thanks for your practice. If any of you want to hang around for a bit after class to talk with me, you can. I think that covers everything I wanted to do this week. Any other questions or discussions for the group?
Thank you.
Thank you, this was great.
Sometimes classes will get longer. as we get gabbly, that's what Jan used to say, which is okay. Especially in coming weeks, we'll always do the sitting meditation. I'll always do some talking. We'll always have discussion, but there's a bunch more techniques that we're going to be getting into that will help increase our mindfulness as well. So,
Are we gonna do the walking one?
oh yeah, there will be walking.
I remember that one at Miss Dr. Keeler's office. That was a nice one.
It was hard to do in Dr.
Yeah, it
Keeler's
was a
office.
lot of, yeah.
We have a little more space here.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got 8 people at Dr. Giebler's office, or
Oh,
10.
wow.
So I've talked about maybe having to move to a different place when we do the walking, because it's kind of crowded in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Max?
Yes.
So you can we can watch the stuff on the recording. But one of the things I want you to do is, if you want to do it right now.
You want this?
Oh yeah, I want your cards back, thank you. Divide your card into 3 columns, Max. And in the first column, write down what is causing you the most stress in your life right now. What is your primary stressor? So,
I'm gonna teach it in here at the communities.
oh, here, that's all. Thank you.
This is good. Tried it a number of times and it just wasn't that easy.
You know, it's like a lot of things. Sometimes, you know, you just gotta be at the right point in your life for it.
Right. So hopefully this is the right time.
I think so. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome. You're all done?
Yes, we're done.
All right.